because it's not just about maxi pads. It's about supporting babies.
Women feel even more marginalized.
We've been taught and shown that it's something almost to be ashamed of.
From the Sidekick, this is Huda, Rizwan,
and Ortuzar.
And welcome to Mic Check.
Today we are going to be talking about the pink tax, which is an additional tax on menstrual products and maternity products that consequently labels these products as non-essential and not necessities.
The pink tax, as it's labeled, costs women an estimated $1,000 to over $2,000 extra annually for similar goods and services compared to men's. Over a lifetime, this gender-based pricing disparity can amount to roughly $188,000 in additional expenses. Daily expenses, daily items like razors, deodorant, shampoo, and clothing marketed to women are frequently priced higher, sometimes by as much as 50%.
This tax is prevalent in many states across the country, and Texas was the latest to get rid of it in September of 2023. How has its removal affected your state, and how has it affected the product's buyers overall?
We will be talking to Coppell High School AP Macroeconomics and Microeconomics teacher Dani Roseberry to learn more about the economic impact of removing the pink tax, along with CHS EmpowerHer Club President Junior Sahiti Godavarthi and CHS Health Science teacher Kathryn Womochel to learn about the effect of the tax on women. First, we talked to Ms. Roseberry.
How has the removal of the pink tax impacted the economy in Texas?
One well-done study out of the University of Chicago actually analyzed the effects of repealing the so-called pink tax, and they found that the lower socioeconomic segments of Texas's population were able to purchase more and able to save more of their limited income to buy other necessities.
Can people still afford menstrual products even if there is no tax?
Well, so if we imagine that the so-called pink tax had not been repealed, and we imagined a universe, similar to the one we used to live in, we know that people will look for substitutes. When the price of something goes too high, they switch away if they can. When the price of menstrual products outpace the price increases of, say, toilet paper, which it did, over the period of right before the pandemic through this year, the price of other hygiene products has risen for a number of reasons, but sanitary products have outpaced all of that. Okay, and so what have people done? They've turned to substitutes, things like store brand goods, or if they price out, how many of these items do I really need over a given number of days? They might switch to something where they feel like overall they spend less money. The problem becomes that these items aren't luxuries. The laws that had allowed these items to be taxed categorized them as luxuries. Would we consider toilet paper a luxury? I highly doubt it. Okay, would we consider diapers a luxury? I don't think so. By removing those taxes, the purpose was really to correctly categorize goods based on the function they fulfilled, and then also attempt to, in a non-welfare sort of way, to support lower incomes so that they could get their basic needs met. Because it's not just about maxi pads. It's about supporting babies, young families that have very real needs.
Next, we talked to EmpowerHer President CHS Junior Sahiti Godavarthi about the effects of the pink tax on women.
I think the pink tax, it kind of took some freedoms away from women because not everyone has that extra money to just spend on something that is very necessary. Biologically. No one has the choice to menstruate. It just happens. So it also causes the inability to work freely, and working is also something that's necessary to survive. So if there are people working on their feet and things like that, you obviously need these menstrual products, even if you're not. So it's not easy to work. It's not easy just to exist.
What do you think about the fact that the pink tax didn't even only apply to menstrual products, but it also applied to maternity products? Like literally every single maternity product had a pink tax before September of 2023 in Texas. And this tax still exists in so many states across the country. How do you think that this leads to women feeling disheartened?
I feel like it makes women feel even more marginalized, because already to be pregnant and to go through labor is a very beautiful and hard task. And to make the postpartum even more difficult, we're just putting more taxes on
Financial stress.
Yes. It's already difficult to handle a newborn child, and adding extra prices on that is not better for them. And it makes those women feel more marginalized in each aspect that they could even be in.
You, as part of the leadership of the EmpowerHer Club at CHS, have you guys done anything that contributes to either like giving away menstrual products or talking about them or like raising awareness about them? Have y'all done something, and can we know more about it?
Definitely, so that we could collectively raise a collection of actually menstrual products. And these like range from like tampons to pads to liners to honestly anything. And we've been donating them to Cosby Library, which they can publicly put out in restrooms so that women can just grab as much as they need so they can bring home to their like home or like their families.
I have seen them in Cosby Library restrooms. I didn't know that was the EmpowerHer
No,
Club.
it is EmpowerHer. Thank you. Like, it's great that you get to see it too, like people from our own campus. And we also have a period pantry here just in A Hall.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
Group effort. Yes.
That is beautiful. So can anybody donate menstrual products?
Anyone can donate. And it's amazing because we're seeing people of different genders and different ages donating. And this also increases the amount of education people are getting on this. Like, why do we even need to donate? It's because some people don't get the opportunity to buy these normal things for themselves.
That's beautiful. And lastly, we also sat down with Ms. Womochel to know about the negative and positive effects of the pink tax on women.
Before I began teaching, and my background is that I'm an athletic trainer and an orthopedic physician's assistant.
Okay, so you obviously must have a lot of knowledge on this topic that we're talking about today.
I do, not only as a provider, but also as a female and someone who works with individuals that this affects greater than other people. So understanding that impact that it has.
Yes, so can you tell us what ways does the pink tax impact the community?
We're looking at taxing items that are more in line with women that don't affect other people. So basically, we're putting a tax on something that over half of the population doesn't have a choice but to use. So to me, the pink tax affects the community, and it almost stigmatizes women, and it stigmatizes young women especially, that having their menstrual cycle is something almost to be ashamed of. So they're classifying menstrual health products as a luxury, and it's not a luxury. It's a necessity, and it's someone's right in there to have that access.
Yes, especially because the menstrual cycle is not talked about enough. It's sort of taboo to talk about. So taxing such items, kind of doesn't make any sense for people who don't understand.
Right. And I think that the menstrual cycle is something that is taboo to talk about. Not only does it make men uncomfortable to think about that they have that going on, even though they have mothers, sisters, girlfriends, sisters, things like that. Women, we've been taught and shown that it's something almost to be ashamed of, that it's not talked about. And that's a cultural thing that is becoming less prevalent. But it's something that's been around for a long time. So the pink tax, I think, has been something that's been allowed to happen because no one wanted to talk about it. It didn't affect the people that were making the laws. It affected those of us that have a menstrual cycle. And we weren't in a position to say anything because if we did, then we would be talking about something that was taboo.
And do we still see the effects of the pink tax even though it's been removed? So it was removed back in September 2023. So it's still been 3 years.
I still think that we do, because not only does it affect things like feminine hygiene products in terms of tampons, menstrual cups, tampons, pads, things like that, But we also see that women's products typically cost more than men's products. If you go to buy a white t-shirt from the men's department, you can get a pack of 6 white t-shirts from Hanes for like $20. And a women's white t-shirt by Hanes is $45. So while it may not be taxed anymore, there still are disparities between male and female products.
Yes. And so what brings menstrual products in a light of being titled as non-essentials?
I think that when we title them as non-essentials, then people think that they can go without them. So if something's considered non-essential, it's considered a luxury. Having access to pads or tampons is not a luxury. And having access to the correct amount that you need is not a luxury. So those women that are or young girls especially who might be heavy bleeders, they might be in a lower socioeconomic status where they're having to choose between food or tampons. They're going to choose to use alternative items, which can lead to increased infection. They may stay home because they don't have access to those items, which means they could be missing out on school, job opportunities, other additional funds. It also means that they could choose not to participate in sports or other activities because of that shame associated with that. And it's really interesting that we were taxing menstrual products for so long when you can get tax exempt for things such as a mattress, a gym membership, a hot tub, Rogaine, and Viagra if you have a prescription from a doctor.
Mm-hmm. What prompted you to start your period pantry?
So last year with HOSA, we had an MRC, so Medical Reserve Corps, as one of the competitions, and some of the girls wanted to start a period pantry. They since have stopped doing that. That was their project last year. But especially with SB 12, where students can't go to the nurse or they can't go and ask a teacher because it's student-led, then we're able to maintain that. And to me, that's super important that everybody has access, especially if you can't get something that you need. Parents are overrun with emails or may not have understood the full effect of what SB 12 meant. But a girl should not have to worry about coming to class and being embarrassed for bleeding through or not having stuff at home because they can't drive. So having that access has been something that's really important to me.
Yeah, so even though we still see the effects of the pink tax, how is the tax, like removal of it, a big step forward in Texas?
I think it's a big step forward because it recognizes that women's health issues are actual health issues. It's not something that can be ignored. It's something that happens. So when we're taxing tampons and pads and saying that they're a luxury item, but we're not taxing things like Viagra and Rogaine, we're saying that those things are more important than something that's essential for women's health.
Ending this podcast, we have learned that the pink tax often induced more stress on postpartum mothers and menstruating women financially, and that its eradication, although late, has helped women in affording essential items and has even helped U.S. economy by easing the purchases of direct goods instead of substituting them for others. This is staff writer Huda Rizwan
and Caroline Ortuzar.